Good morning, Nigel. Thank you for joining us today on this podcast. So many listeners might be familiar with Wudu, but for those who aren't, could you explain what Wudu is and the significance in daily Muslim practices?
I can. As a non-Muslim, I'm not going to be going into many of the deeply religious parts of the ritual, but I can say that devout Muslims should be praying 5 times a day.
Yeah.
As part of their prayer ritual, they would do a cleansing ritual beforehand, and that's called Wudu, and that involves washing hands, face, and importantly feet, which is difficult if it's in the workplace, and we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
But the whole idea of the washing, the Wudu washing, is that they can approach God with a clean body and a clean mind. That's the purpose of the ritual.
Wow, that's amazing. So with over 50 years of experience, Wudumate, you've designed quite a few ranges of appliances for ablution. Can you share some examples of how your products cater to different environments such as homes, mosques and commercial buildings?
Yeah, indeed. Well, we established the company in 2008, and the purpose of the business was to originally develop a foot bath, a single washing appliance for Muslims to wash in the workplace. That was our initial requirement. We recognized that there was an opportunity in the UK and that there weren't appropriate appliances available. So we designed one, and I took it down to the local mosque and got input from all the brothers down in the mosque.
Yeah.
And we created a prototype, and I took it then to the Middle East. I took it to a big exhibition in Dubai called Big Five, and I got lots of input there. And I think the big message which came out was that the idea we had was pretty good.
Yeah.
There was a requirement for it, but we'd made it a little bit small. We'd made it based around the sort of the dimensions of a typical English Muslim, which is primarily from the subcontinent of India and Pakistan. But the Arabs in Dubai were a lot taller, and they all said, hang on, it's a little bit small.
I see.
Needs to be a bit bigger. So I went back to the drawing board and made another prototype, which is 100 mil longer and 100 mil wider. Took it back to Big Five again next year, and they said, yeah, that's just right. Great. So that was the product we designed for the commercial workplace, and it was getting increasingly popular in the UK. It was sort of a brand new concept. And then we took it back to Dubai again, and next year, Big Five, and got lots of international input again. And they said, well, that's great for the workplace. I'm glad it's going well in the UK, but it's a bit small for mosques because we like to have a communal system in mosques, and it's a bit big for the home because I haven't got enough room in the home for this unit. So we went back to the drawing board and drew a design for a slightly smaller unit for the home, which is how Wudumate Compact, which is we named it originally the Wudumate Residential for homes, but then more and more businesses who didn't have a lot of space, they said, well, we want that in the business. So we named it then the Compact because it was small. And we developed the Wudumate Modular, which was available either as a standalone unit or could be fitted together in a whole communal ablution area for high usage ablution. And that's where the modular design came from. And only a couple of years ago, we thought of another requirement, which kept coming up on a daily basis, was where people didn't have the ability to put a fixed unit in because they didn't have access to drains or running water. So we made the Wudumate Mobile, which can be moved from room to room or place to place. And that's been popular either for hotels, for prisons, where they don't want to take prisoners across a prison courtyard to the central place for Wudu. They wanted to take the Wudu appliance to them. Hospitals, we've got a lot of hospitals using those, universities. So the Wudumate Mobile was the sort of last product in our portfolio. We have got a few other subsidiary products which we buy in to fill gaps when people ask us for different things, but the primary units are developed like I've just mentioned.
It's amazing, Nigel. I think what's really stands out is the international market research that you've done. It's really good, and it's like you're really listening to the needs of the people. We know what they want and adapting the products to fulfill that need. It's amazing. So this year's National Inclusion Week theme is Impact Matters. So how does Wudumate contribute to creating more inclusive workspaces, especially through the integration of multi-phase spaces with Wudu facilities? And I know you've already touched on this already, but if you could sort of elaborate a little bit more.
Well, soon after we introduced the first model to the commercial sector, that was in about 2008 and 9, we recognized that there was a requirement in the workplace, but people didn't really realize this. No one really understood what it was. So I actually wrote a guide way back in 2010 called Diversity Matters. And it was a practical guide on how to design a multi-faith room in the workplace. And since we released that first time, we've distributed thousands of those guides. And it's almost a de facto standard now for the design of multi-faith spaces in the workplace. It's been translated into 5 or 6 languages, all the European languages, recently into Japanese. It's been distributed all around Australia, Canada, America, and it really is a sort of a template on the do's and don'ts of designing a multi-faith room. And it really has put the concept of multi-faith rooms on the map, because when we started this business all those years ago, no one really realized there was a need for this in the workplace. So now we've got all the facility managers understanding the requirement. You'll find in many of the big organizations and city organizations, not only in this country, but around the world, that they will have multi-faith rooms. And if they have a multi-faith room, so as not to discriminate against any party, including Muslims, they should have a washing area for ablution, and that's where our products are used.
It's amazing. It really is. And I think it really champions that diversity piece. It's just amazing. So what are some key considerations and best practices when designing a multi-phase space that includes Wudu facilities to ensure that it's acceptable and respectful for all employees? I know you've already mentioned it again, just if you could just say a little bit more. It's just amazing, really.
Well, I think one of the problems is with any organization is to find appropriate space and big enough space. Especially if the organization is an organization driven by fee earners, like lawyers. Lawyers have fee earners who are doing their work, and they have a particular room, and to find available space in a law firm, they've actually got to give up fee earning space. So that's it's a big decision for a firm of lawyers to say, well, let's give up a fee earning space with 10 lawyers and turn it into a multi-faith room. But so the important thing is to find appropriate space and to recognize that for the washing area, men and women should have completely separate areas. If they can't have separate areas, then you have to have a lockable room, because women do not like to have their privacy invaded while they're performing their washing. So space is important. Having a male and female facility is ideal, but also to have whatever is designed really should be acceptable to the people who are likely to use it. So we've done a number of projects. I think the best project that I ever performed was in a large city institution in the middle of London. It was in a very, very tall building, that's all I'll say. And in the basement, we built a multi-faith room and an ablution area. And it had to cater for hundreds of people, but we put a committee together, and that committee was from not only the builders who were going to build it, but also employees from the firm, and they were male and female. And that was the most, I think, constructive project we did, and we ended up with a facility which everyone was really proud of. So I think when anyone's designing this, I would recommend the facility managers get involved, but also get involved people who are going to use it from the staff, ideally men and women. And I think that's when you're going to end up with a facility which everyone's proud of and gets best use.
Nigel, it's just amazing just listening to you, that whole piece on collaboration, making sure it works for everybody, because when we're in a workspace, you want a space where people are comfortable, but also it works for the business as well. It doesn't override that. So I think it's just amazing. It really is. So last question. Again, I think you've already kind of answered this again, but just to say, could you elaborate on the broader benefits of incorporating multi-phase spaces and Wudu facilities in the workplace? And how does this impact, how does this sort of impact employee well-being and the overall workplace culture?
Well, I think everyone recognises or has recognised over the years that physical well-being is important, and people have introduced gyms and canteens, and they give employees time in the daytime to perhaps go to the gym or whatever. But only in recent years have the spiritual well-being of employees become more important. And I think you've only got to pick up the newspaper every day now, and everyone's paying more attention to the youngsters coming out of university, and that some of them have got emotional problems. And we have to look after our staff, people. And I run a small business, and I recognise every day, and a happier place is a more productive place. Right. So I think the whole world, not just the UK, the whole world is starting to realise that now, and they're making provision to make sure that everyone is happy and productive. And the happier they are, the more productive they are. And that's where I think a multi-faith room, so that people who have got perhaps issues at home or in the workplace or health issues, they can take time out. And whether it's for religious purposes or whether it's just they've got a bereavement and just want to spend a few minutes alone in the daytime, I think that there are many reasons why people would use such a facility, and the only feedback we get is good. So I would continue my journey and promoting multi-faith rooms wherever we go. And yes, we do normally get a bit of business out of it at the end, but that's not the main driver. I think the main driver is to spread our message far and wide.
Nigel, I'm going to have to ask one more question. I'm really sorry, but what are the plans moving forward, Nigel? Sounds amazing. What we do moving forward?
What the plans for me, or the business, or
the business moving forward? What can we expect to see?
Well, I suppose the plans for the business are keep doing what we're doing, because I think it's going well. It's going in the right direction. Me personally, I'm getting a little bit long in the tooth, frankly, and I've got to think. So I've got some youngsters in the business who are taking more of a responsibility, and I'm going to stand back a little bit. But the business is going in the right direction with people on the ground to take it forward if I should step aside over the next 2 or 3 years, which is my personal plan, and I think it'll be good for the business as well. Some new fresh blood, the younger blood, and that's where I think in 3 years' time I'll still be around, but not at the helm.
I'm sure that they'll need your experience and your guidance, Nigel. Absolute pleasure speaking to you this morning, Nigel. Thank you so much.
And you, I hope. Any other questions, or delighted to take whichever way they come.
Brilliant. I will. Well, the message will be out soon, and I'm sure a lot of people will be asking questions. But that was amazing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.